车，快点出！
A torrential nightmare has once again descended upon China, with the mountainous province of Guizhou now bearing the brunt of nature's seemingly monstrous fury. What commenced as rain rapidly escalated into a catastrophic event, as fierce, unrelenting, and merciless floodwaters roared through communities, leaving a trail of devastation and heartbreak in their wake. In counties like Rongjiang and Leishan, the deluge was swift and all-encompassing. Entire communities were swallowed whole as once bustling streets transformed into fast-flowing rivers within mere minutes. Homes, cars, schools, and the irreplaceable tapestry of memories and lives were mercilessly submerged beneath the churning, muddy torrent. Eyewitnesses recounted a terrifying sensation, as if nature itself had turned against them, unleashing a wild beast from its cage. The deafening roar of water rushing through narrow alleys and crashing against concrete structures was described by some as a scream emanating from the very earth. There was no warning potent enough, no barrier high enough to withstand the onslaught. The flood came with a terrifying velocity, too fast for many to comprehend, let alone escape. In Rongjiang County, the water burst into neighborhoods without mercy, leaving residents scrambling for safety with no time to spare. Entire districts vanished under the deluge, and harrowing images emerged of bodies entangled in branches, lifelessly floating in the floodwaters. The scale of the disaster transcended tragedy, becoming a collective trauma unfolding in real time. The personal stories of survivors paint a chilling picture of the chaos. Xiao Tang Yuan, a local resident, had just parked her car in an underground garage when the ground began to tremble. Within seconds, a torrent of water rushed in. She narrowly escaped by scrambling onto the roof of her car, from where she filmed the terrifying scene. The water slammed into the walls like a wave at sea, she later recounted, still shaken. My car, my only means of transportation for 6 years, was gone in minutes. I was sure I wouldn't survive. While Xiao was one of the fortunate ones, many others were not. Videos that circulated online depicted horrific scenes. Streets turned into raging rivers, buildings crumbling under the force of the water, and residents stranded on rooftops, desperately waving for help. Entire convoys of cars were swept away, some with passengers still trapped inside. The water level rose with alarming speed, in some areas reaching as high as the fourth floor of buildings within a matter of hours. The economic and emotional toll on the residents is immeasurable. A woman who ran a small pharmacy in the heart of Rongjiang lost everything. "We had no time," she said, her face streaked with mud and tears. The water didn't just flood the shop, it tore through it. Medicine, equipment, all of it destroyed. How do I rebuild from this? Her voice broke as she recalled watching her life's work being drowned before her very eyes. While authorities have labeled the event a once-in-50 years flood, a sentiment of skepticism and anger is palpable among the residents. Many view this disaster not as a mere act of God, but as the culmination of years of systemic failure. Lin Xiaolong, a former provincial judge with experience in the region, offered a candid critique. "It's always easy to blame the rain," he stated. But this was different. This was man-made neglect, corruption, lack of preparation. When the rainy season hits, people should not have to row boats down their own streets. But that's become normal here. Reports have surfaced that several upstream reservoirs had released large volumes of water in the days preceding the disaster, overwhelming the rivers and placing immense pressure on the towns below. While emergency notices were issued for many, they came too late. The government eventually initiated mass evacuations, forcing over 400,000 people to flee their homes. Schools were repurposed as makeshift shelters, and families gathered on hillsides, watching helplessly as the floodwaters devoured everything they owned. The infrastructure crumbled under the strain. Bridges collapsed, power lines snapped, and roads were buried under a thick layer of sludge. For days, entire districts were cut off from the outside world, without power, clean water, or any means of communication. The silence that followed was heavy with heartbreak. One of the most poignant symbols of this loss was the inundation of the Rongjiang Village Super League football stadium. Once a beacon of local pride and a catalyst for a burgeoning tourist industry, this grassroots-turned national phenomenon was submerged under 7 meters of water. Only the tops of the goalposts remained visible, silent witnesses to the drowned dreams of a community. The recent development that had begun to blossom in the region, new roads, businesses, and a growing tourism sector was washed away in an instant. For many, their faith in the authorities tasked with their protection was washed away with it. A torrent of questions has emerged. Why were the reservoir releases not managed more effectively? Why were evacuation warnings not issued earlier? Where are the long-promised flood control upgrades? And why, year after year, does this cycle of destruction repeat itself across China? Experts have long warned that the confluence of climate change and extreme weather events is transforming seasonal floods into deadly catastrophes. However, alongside nature's fury, a starker truth has emerged. Infrastructure failure, rampant overdevelopment, and political negligence are turning natural hazards into human tragedies. The government has issued warnings about black swan flood events, rare, catastrophic occurrences that can overwhelm entire systems. But for the people of Rongjiang, these events are no longer rare, and the system was woefully unprepared. The aftermath is a daily struggle against a landscape of mud-caked streets and rotting homes. Families sift through the ruins of their lives, and children, their routines shattered, ask when they can return to school. The sight of school bags floating in drainage canals has become a haunting symbol of interrupted innocence. International aid has begun to arrive, but the road to recovery is long and arduous. It is a path that involves not just rebuilding homes, but restoring trust, dignity, and a sense of security. As the waters recede, they leave behind not just physical destruction, but a profound sense of despair. Rongjiang now stands as a somber symbol of a community crushed between the wrath of nature and the failings of humanity. The skies may have cleared, but the deep scars on the land and in the hearts of its people remain.